Hello, I am Reverend Irene Smith. My young peeps call me Miss Irene. I am so excited to invite you to Generationally Speaking, where we sit at the table, every generation, and we share our life issues, hearing one from the other, because I believe that we can all learn from each other. Well, I'm excited today. As you can see, I'm not in my normal setting. Where am I? I am in Tennessee at Lipscomb Academy. Praise be to God. And I have with me Minister James Durham. You know him as that cowboy fan. I don't know how he can live in Washington, D.C. and call himself a cowboy fan, but that's who he is, a cowboy fan. So, Minister Durham, welcome.
Thank you, Reverend. You know, it's always a pleasure to be here.
What are you going to say about the Cowboys?
Well, I'm going to say this, and we're going to get into the conversation with Matthew and Jameson. I always say I refuse to be a victim of my environment. Just because I grew up in the area with the sorry Washington football team didn't mean I had to like that team. And so we're going to talk to Jameson and Matthew, and they're going to share how their environment does not have to dictate who they are and what they become, because they are attached to this awesome organization that is the Family Foundation Fund. So with that, actually want to go across the table, have you introduce yourself. So we can start with you.
My name is Matthew Gaines. I've been in the program for right now 6 years. I have, I believe, 2 more years to go. And right now, that's pretty much it. I love basketball. It's the main focus of my life. Well, first academics and family, but that's the main thing that I really want to excel in.
Okay, awesome.
And my name is Jameson Tillman. This is my 6 years in the program too. I love basketball, spend time with friends, and I'm a very hard worker.
All right. And in case you missed the previous segment, we will have you introduce yourself again.
Well, I'm Onnie Kirk, and I'm married to Marginelle Kirk. Been married 44 years. To that union, we have 8 children, and in 1993, we began an organization to mentor young men into Christ-centered manhood. And that's why we're here today, because 2 of these foundation sons attend school here, and we wanted to hear their story.
Awesome. Well, with the fruit, would you share a little bit about your background prior to joining the organization?
The way I was introduced to it was through my uncle. My uncle was first in the program for a while, and after that, since he was in there and my grandma saw how great the program was, she thought that maybe I could have the chance of doing great in the program. So I met with Mr. Onnie at the age of 9. He asked me a couple questions like, would you be interested in doing these things, or would this be something that you'll be looking forward to? And I told him yes, I would. And when I was 10, I went to the program and I started just enjoying everything that he put in front of me.
Awesome.
And as for me, both of my cousins were actually in it. Both my older cousins, they were in it. And my mom, her and sister-in-law, they were talking about it because I was always like a troublesome kid when I was a kid. So I got introduced to the program, got introduced to Mr. Onnie and Miss Marginelle. Came to the program. I was scared at first because I haven't really been away from my mom for that long, but I began to like it, and it's formed me into who I am today.
Awesome. So it's always cool being a legacy, because those who have gone before you, they give you a little bit of information. So share with me what your cousins and your uncle, you said, what did they share about the program to prepare you for entering into it?
My uncle, he told me that it was nothing but hard work. You have to learn at a young age what life has in store. So it was like, if I just sat there, listened to the authority, do what I was supposed to, then I could do great. I could excel in the things I really wanted to do.
Pretty much same for me. My cousin told me that if you're going to be in this program, you got to have hard work. You're going to have to do what they say. It's not like you just go and have fun. It's not like you just go and play all day. It's just you actually are learning how to be a man, just because of the issues and the way you don't have a father or stuff like that. So
awesome. So it sounded to me like maybe you were alluding to what I understand to be Camp Son, because you said you hadn't been away from your mom for that long. So I want to bring Onnie into the conversation and have you share about what is Camp Son.
Well, Son Camp, Dave, is an orientation into the Family Foundation Fund. when the boys come to us, most of them have never been in a male environment. They've always been with their mothers or their grandmothers, or in some cases, maybe great-grandmothers. So we knew it was important that they had an introduction into the culture of being a male.
Mm-hmm.
So we established Sun Camp in 1996. And at Sun Camp, they would come and sometimes they would build a cabin. Sometimes they would help lay a concrete slab for a basketball court.
Wow.
Sometimes they would wash windows on the chapel. They may pull weeds out of a flower bed. I mean, it's all kinds of things they learned at Sun Camp. Now, interestingly enough, they stayed in rustic cabins.
Okay.
Now, rustic cabins are rustic cabins. There's no lights in the cabins. There's no restroom in the cabin. They have a cabin. And they have bunk beds in there. They have bunk in there. And it's up in the woods. And at night, you hear the owls, you hear the crickets. You may even hear some raccoons running around,
Okay.
So you be in there thinking, oh my, where am I? So they learn to overcome fear. And we would have mothers that would tell you, my son was afraid of the dark. He's no longer afraid of the dark. My son was afraid of heights. I remember Jamari was afraid of heights. I mean, he was petrified of heights. He's no longer afraid of heights. People were afraid of dogs. They're no longer afraid of dogs. Because we told them, perfect love casts out all fear. So why are you as a believer saying you're fearing something when perfect love casts out all fear? So the mothers would tell other mothers, when he goes to Sun Camp, I don't care what he's fearing now. He is not going to leave that camp fearing. So we taught them to be men who would stand boldly, who would always look to the Most High, always, for all things. There are two type of people in the world. What kind are they?
Make excuses and the people that finds a way.
They learn that. Those who make a way and those that make an excuse. And that's a life lesson. But those are principles in Sun Camp. They live in team families in Sun Camp. Both of these young men were captains of other boys who were in their team and stayed in their rustic cabin. They're responsible. Why? Because fathers are responsible. And so they're learning as a team captain, I'm responsible for this team. I'm to make sure that they get to exercise on time. Exercise was 6:15 in the morning. If they didn't get down, they got demerits. They had to learn to cook a breakfast.
Wow.
And supply for all the other sons that were there at the camp. Sun Camp is an intense 2 weeks where we are together from at night, morning, and they stay there for those 2 weeks. At the end of Sun Camp, of course, they are given certificates of completion, and we have a big celebration. And when their mothers come to pick them up, they say, he's different.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I want to just ask you all a question. I have 3 sons, and so I know that when boys get together, and how did you all manage to deal with this alpha male thing that boys tend to have? I'm the person in charge. So how did you all manage that the first time you went away? Like, holding your ground, not being, just what boys do.
Well, I think for me, it was like a pride thing. And I think that's just for all boys. It's a pride thing. But, you recognize once you might bump heads a few times, but you recognize if they're 10 times bigger than you, then you can't do anything. So, or it's like if you don't listen, then that's harder for you to get through Sun Camp. Like once you just recognize that, okay, you have to buy into this, I have to listen, I have to do this. And once you just continue that, it just gets easier and easier on through the years. So
yeah, like you said, when it was all like who's the strongest, really. When it comes down to boys, it's always competing and like who can do the most push-ups, who can do the most sit-ups, and who can run the fastest. It's always about competing, even like in sports, like who's better than this and that. So it's more like, for me and Jameson, it's like he's the senior captain, I'm the next in line to be the senior captain, so we're like the top 2 heads of being captains. So for me, I'm kind of quiet, not really shy, but like more like a quiet guy. I like to sit back and be quiet, and he's more like a talkative. So I'll let him take the lead of being talkative, and he has more like of a strategy plan and everything, and I'm like more like an executor, and I execute those plans very well.
Awesome. I love Sun Camp. It sounds amazing. I want to ask you, what was your most memorable experience from Sun Camp?
I think like the first night, like the first ever night, like my first day of Sun Camp, I didn't really think that when they said cabins, I thought it was like actually like, I thought like we have electricity, some lights, but
wow.
First night they were like, all right, time to go to sleep. Well, we had to pack our bags for the next day, and then it's like, all right, time to go to sleep. And I was like, there's no lights, there's no anything. And then I learned that first night to use the bathroom before I came up there. So I had the whole, I remember I cried that night. I was just like, I couldn't believe I was there. And
Wow.
I probably didn't sleep that whole night, but that was probably the most memorable.
So with that night being so tough and you crying to yourself, did you get a lesson about overcoming and dealing with challenges?
It's a thing to where like, all right, you're here. I mean, you can't leave, so it's might as well just get over it. Like those feelings that crying, I was probably just crying just because I didn't want to be there. But more time, it's not what you want; it's more what you need. So and I definitely needed that. So I think that's what it is.
Great lesson, awesome. What about you, Matthew?
I think my most memorable was like when we were about to leave, when it was about over. Because then it was like everybody was so excited, everybody was getting around, everybody was like the more energetic than like the middle of it, when it was all like, we're almost there, but we're not there. But the end of it was like a big gather around with everybody. It was just so fun to see everybody smile and having fun and everything like that. So
at Sun Camp, did you all build a bond that stays with you?
We did. I know, like me and Cody, for say, well, me and Matthew, we didn't know each other at first. We were just like complete strangers. Like I've never seen this kid in my life, but I know like he was his first year, it was my first year, so we had something in common. So it was another kid that joined with us, and like we were all like the same age, and we all joined the same year. So that was like our protective like thing. So like if I felt a certain way, if he felt some type of way, we would tell each other or something like that. So yeah, there's definitely building a bond. Like, man, if you walk anywhere, there are you two brothers? So it's just like there's definitely a bond, that a stronger bond you build, and it's just not Sun Camp. It lasts way after Sun Camp, like just a lifetime bond.
Awesome. So speaking about the bond, and even from Sun Camp to today, your entire, I think you said 6 years you've been in the program, just the entire 6 years, and sticking with the topic of bond, how have you learned to express like love to another male individual? Because that's something that we really don't see from men, from young men, from boys. We show it in competition. We show it in, we're going to root for each other in a game or what have you. But in terms of just showing love and camaraderie and expressing that, what did you get from your complete experience?
I think it's more like, like you said, as boys, we don't really show that. So it's not like as a mother would show her son. It's just more of a like, I'm here for you if you need anything, whatever, caring for their feelings, because like that's just a thing that's like hushed on nowadays. But actually telling them that it's okay to do this, okay to do that, actually sitting down talking to them. Like if a young boy would come to the program, he was scared, we actually sit down, talk to him, tell him it's okay, tell him what we felt like, and it's just like it just made everything easier for them.
Good.
For say for instance, me and Jameson's bond, how we show our love, it's more like if I fell down, he'll be like, it's alright. He'll pick me up and say it's alright. It's not more like he said, a mother and father love. I mean, not a mother and father, more like a mother and son love. It's more like it's like you'll be alright type of. It's like a tough love type of thing. It's like he'll pat you on the shoulder, put your head up, and he'll tell you just keep moving, and you feel it. It's like it's just a feeling that you get. Like you feel that that person's right there for me. He's watching over me. He got my back whenever I need it. So it's like you just want to get up and keep going.
Excellent.
Yeah, the Bible talks about husband and wife relationship and how it's important for the man to receive respect. And I know that with my sons that respect is big amongst their friends. So what did you all learn about respect? Learning how to respect each other and learning how to respect leadership and those kinds of things.
Well, we learned how to respect authority because, there was consequences if you don't respect authority. But just in terms of like respecting one another, like I know my cousin was, and I got to be in the program like 3 years when he was in the program. So, and he's been there for a while. So like he had some form of respect that I didn't have, but also like I got a form of respect just because I was under his name, if that makes sense. So it's just like, and plus you learn to respect, like you learn people's boundaries, how far you go, how far you don't go, and it's just like a unspoken respect. Like don't touch people's things, like. Don't call people out their name, treat people you want to be treated. And I mean, I get it was a few moments that, but it wasn't a very lot of moments that people disrespected each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's more like we learn how to give respect more to like being to authority. So it's like when I see that you earn respect, it's more like I'll give you respect type of thing. But if you're like very childish or anything like that, it's like there was no respect given when I was younger. So it's like when I saw that, it was like, oh, okay, so I see how this type of thing goes. So when I see all these people, they hold you to high standards and they do certain things a certain way, it was like, okay, so that person definitely needs my respect.
Excellent. So Onnie, I want to bring you back in and talk about the intentionality of the program to do exactly what they just talked about, to instill respect, to show them how to interact with authority. Talk about just the program being intentional to do that.
When the boys come into the program, we first how we address them as Family Foundation Fund sons. In the Bible, it has the word son over 2,500 times. Most people don't know this, but it only mentions Christian 3 times because God sees us as sons. So we were very intentional of always referring to them as Family Foundation Fund sons. As you saw today when I greeted AJ and BJ, I greeted them as sons. They'll tell you, I always want my hugs, always. If they miss a day, I need to, and I do that intentionally. Because touch is important, righteous touch is important. So I would always, embrace them. I would teach them when you address a woman, you would address her as Miss Irene, and you say, yes ma'am, no ma'am. You address you as Mr. James, yes sir, no sir. Thank you, I appreciate it. I mean, just life lessons. We teach them to sit at the table. I mean, they would come and mothers would tell me, we don't sit at the table at home. I heard mothers would tell me, we'd go into TV, living room, watch whatever. They would learn to sit at the table intentionally as a family and talk about their day. In Sun Camp, at the end of the day, each one said, well, this is what happened today for me. Before they go to bed at night, they all gathered in the chapel. They would pray, call upon the Lord, thank Him for the day. And they were always taught, look out for the little guys. Look out for those that are weaker than you. It's not all about winning all the time, So these, and when it came to money, they learned about budgeting. They had a financial obligation sheet, and we purposely would give them an allowance from when they were 10 to 14, and their first portion of their money went for their tithe. Then they had a 20% mandatory savings account. When they graduate, they get a matching educational grant to what they've saved all those years. When they got to be 15, they went to the workforce. Well, that's what you saw today at Care Supply, where they and Miss Dan in Wasco, that boys come there to work. So they learn responsibility, not get a paycheck and say, oh, there's some tennis shoes. $120. Well, I got $130. I'm gonna buy those. No, we're looking. Wait a minute. What makes sense? That's what Lisa was saying about Malik. She said Malik saves money, and he manages his money. And even you heard Mr. Stewart say, in the future, who knows? He may be here, one of the executives here as a career here at Care Supply. So all those things were intentional, and even teaching them to wash their clothes, because during the middle of Sun Camp, the mothers are told only send enough for 1 week. On that Sunday, they all go to the laundromat. They learn how to separate, put their clothes in, wash them, dry them, fold them. As they know, when you go home, continue to do responsibility. And even where I mentioned before, cooking the meals for the other campers. Each team had a day that they would be responsible for breakfast and help with lunch and dinner. Of course, we had some chefs and professional cooks there who would lead them along the way most of the time. But once they learned, they didn't need the expert. And the last thing is, throughout their tenure in the program, they would go out during the summertime and work with professionals. If that person was an insurance agent, a mortgage banker, or a real estate person, or a barber, whatever the person's profession was, they would shadow them for 2 days during the week, during the summertime. But Sun Camp was the orientation to get them ready for the rest of the program.
Everything that you do is intentional. And even the word son is intentional. I know for me, when I have interacted with young people, there's a difference when I say, son, come here. It's not a put off for them. It's a sign of respect when I say son. But if I say boy, it's like I'm already pushing them. So when you all hear this word, when you refer to as son, what does it do for you when you hear someone say son, they call you son?
For me, it's like a word of protection. It's like I feel like that, like I was saying, like he has my back for me. Like he's a covering over me. He watches over me. He can protect me. Whenever I need help, I can go to him. So it's like when you don't have that father that's supposed to be there in your life, and like when Mr. Onnie calls me son, it's like I do have that father that I do need in my life, and then I can go for him to wisdom if I need any knowledge on something or anything like that. So it's like a word of protection, basically.
Pretty much the same thing for me. It's like a warming thing. Like just like if you respond to everybody, just boy, come here. It's just not, you're not willing to listen to what they want to say. Just the word son. It's just like you said, a feeling of covering. It's like a family, like a bond.
One more question before we get to the surrogates. I want to ask you about your relationship with your surrogate, but I want to hear what did you learn from working on the Sun Farm? Now we know of Sun Camp, but I also understand that everyone has to go to Sun Farm. Tell me about that.
Sun Farm is definitely interesting. Once you definitely learn how to be a hard worker, because once we get points, like especially in Sun Camp, we get points for if you do your job correctly and how fast you do it. It's not just about doing it correctly, how fast you do it. If we have to pull weeds, that's one of the number one things on the farm, just pulling weeds. But as a kid, when it's hot and you pulling weeds, once you just keep doing that over the years, you just learn to like ignore it. So it's like some things that other kids might go through, I'm just like, I've already been doing that since I was 10. So it's just like, it gets you ready for actually working, like some of the mentorships or some of the internships you go on. Some of the things you're already accustomed to just because of the farm. So it just prepares you overall.
Excellent.
I'll say for me, for the farm, it's like being out there when it's hot and everything, it really wears down on you. And it has its effects to you, especially at a young age. But the thing is, like, when you learn that from a young age, you are, like you said, you already used to it. So it's like when you start to become that, like 20, 21 years old, when you get out there and you have to work for yourself or even work for your family, it's like, I have to do this in order to provide for my family. It's like you're willing, it builds that willing for you to like go out, work hard, go through all that suffering, like all the lifting that you have to do, like you have to suffer from the sun, getting hurt by the sun, anything like that. It's all worth it. It teach you that that's what you need to do.
So after you leave the farm and you've learned, how to stay with the task, how to make sure you follow through to completion, that even though you feel exhausted, you got to keep pushing through. What did that do for you when you got ready to go to school or interact, with others?
It made your work ethic just that much better. It's just like on the academic side, it made you want to, like, just like if you had to pull weeds, just go ahead and do this side, do the hard part first, and then you can get to the easy part. Just like with the work, do the hard part first, and you go ahead and get to the easy side. Or just like with sports, it made you want to, your work ethic overall is just basically better than it would have been.
And for me, I feel like it's all just mental, even throughout any type of work that you have to do. When you lifting weights in the gym, going to basketball practice, playing games, going out there to the farm, schoolwork. It's all just mental. It's all I have to get up and do this because I have something to do. Like if you want to do something, like you have something to do. So you have to, in order to do that, you have to push yourself. So it's like me. I used to procrastinate like a lot and put off work. But then when I started working on the farm more and more over time, it was like no more of that. It was more like I have to get up and I have to do this, and it's for a reason.
That's amazing. So being a son of the Family Foundation Fund, you start off with Sun Camp, and then you're a part of the Sun Farm, but also as a part of this organization, you get connected with the surrogate. And you've been with your surrogates 6 years, I'm imagining, close to 6 years.
A year and a half.
You've been with yours a year and a half. Okay, so talk about your relationship with your surrogate. Feel free to share their name here, and what does that relationship mean to you, and what has it done to enhance your life?
His name is Greg Boucher. Married to, he's like a father that I didn't have. Basically, it's just like a fill-in for an absence that was in my life, basically, and it's a very good relationship. It's probably one of the best relationships I can say. And it's just like another, like Mr. Onnie or Mr. Isaac. It's just like another person that you can lean on to, another person that's going to be there for you, another person that's here to help you. So it's just like, it's good just knowing that you have like a community of people that want the best for you.
For me, it's more than just like another Mr. Onnie or another Mr. Isaac. It's more like I really feel the same thing that he used to go through when he was a kid, because he had struggles and he told me his struggles, and my struggles are like the same compared to his. So it's like I have somebody that's there that know what I went through, and that's what I'm going through, that can help me, push me to be more. After everything I see that he's been working hard through, even though all the hard times they went through that are even worse than what I'm going through, it's like it really shows you that you can do way more.
When you go to the camp, you're sort of in the bubble, the farm, you're in the bubble. But when you leave outside the bubble and you have to interact with your peers, how have you learned to maintain yourself so that you don't give in to peer pressure? Because peer pressure is real. So how do you walk that fine line?
I think it's just a thing of just stick with your being disciplined to your teaching. Like Miss Onnie already is like prepared us for what people are what like demons try to tempt you into doing something you're not supposed to do. But it's just a thing of actually like buying into what he's saying, because some people can learn that, but they just won't react that way when the time comes. So I just think it's like discipline.
It's really discipline all to it, but other than that, it's like I never had that much of peer pressure really, because since I'm always quiet, it's like I'm really easy to get out of situations more easily. So it's like I've always been that kid in the background that just like watch things play out, and when I see it play out, I always like try to stop it, act on it. So I've never been really affected with peer pressure.